Welcome back to Plan B Terraform, and this is our new planet. If you missed it in the last episode, we actually switched planet, moved in the sky, went to a new planet. The main reason is that the water was just completely out of control, but now in this planet, we are back to exactly the same spot. I'm gonna show you how I got there quite quickly, actually in less than 2 hours, went back to exactly the same point. But more importantly, in this episode, we're gonna move forward. We're gonna look at trees, the different type of trees, how they grow and all those type of things. I'm gonna show you all of the new buildings that we've unlocked. And more importantly, I'm going to show you my mega base that is ready to start growing to 1 million. So let's dive in. Here you can see two cities, New Chennai and New Ahmedabad. These are my starting cities. This is how I got and unlocked everything. The first one was over here, New Chennai. It is currently stable at around 9,000 of population. I used to give it a lot of things, but now I've stopped. Now the only thing that we're giving is actually the oxygen, and also we're taking care of all of the metal waste over here. So this is my normal waste system, but I built it early in the game, so it was still with roads and not train. But you can see we have over here all of the waste disposal, then goes into those depots, then into the recycling centers, creating aluminium and steel bars. Then the steel bars are going over here, plus some polymer bars to make the high-tech parts. The high-tech parts are jumping and will be used with some mechanical parts to make, some trains and a couple of trucks. These mechanical parts are made over here thanks to, the steel bars. And then on the other side over here, we're making carbon. The carbon is transformed into the polymer, and the polymer comes back over here. Then similarly for the oxygen, I did a bit of a trick where you don't really need to deliver the oxygen. If you want, you can make it directly into the city like we're doing over here. We have the supply center touching, a couple of the habitation. It does need to touch some habitations. Then we have some depots, and then all of these atmospheric extractors around it. So that's all good. Then we used to deliver, high-tech parts, used to deliver other things, but we've deleted it. We don't need it anymore. I was, for example, bringing the concrete from here, and this concrete was transformed into reinforced concrete over there, and then sent via train, over here. But yeah, as I said, we stopped it. This used to be also the base where I was making all of my basic things at the beginning, like the factories and the assembly plants. I used to make extractors also over here. We are making over here ice extractors with reinforced concrete and mechanical parts. So a lot of these early things that you've seen in previous episodes. Here just below, that's where I made the high-tech parts, right? We have a lot of the aluminium ore over here. It's going into all of those depots, transform into aluminium bars over here, then the aluminium bars jumping. Then we have the same thing with a lot of carbon, because carbon is only 12, of carbon for those atmospheric extractors. Then it moves over here, moves into those polymer bars factories, polymer bars, then it jumps over here. And then with that, we're making a lot of the high-tech parts, which at the beginning was sent to this one. Then I started to send to the one at the bottom. So you can see over here, this old railway station. So it got over here to the second city. So this is the second city, which at some point I got to even 30,000 people, which is why we are at level 15. We have unlocked level 14. But now I've also stopped giving things. So you can see I've basically deleted all of these supply centers. I used to have supply centers there for the reinforced concrete, used to have supply center here for the food, and supply center over here for the high-tech parts. I've deleted them. So now the city is slowly but surely shrinking, actually, as you can see, decreasing. But that's fine, it was just to get us started. As I said, over here, we are delivering the high-tech parts. Then I have a reinforced concrete factory over there, but that's pretty much empty. And that's also one of the reasons I stopped it, because it was almost done. So I didn't want to, waste all of these resources. The steel bars were coming from here to make the reinforced concrete. Then here I have my waste disposal that you just saw, right? To make some trains, that's the normal one. Then here we had the waste disposal for organic waste. So the way to make food that I showed you in the last episode with nitrogen, then it's transformed over here into food with water. Right now the food, all of this is full, so that's a problem. That's why all of this is full. The water was coming all the way from over there. So now there are those mega factories, right? We have a lot of those extractors. Here only taking water, here taking water and also some nitrogen. and then a couple of trains, you know, that are delivering into the warehouse. I have a water warehouse and a nitrogen warehouse, and then those are delivering back into the city over here, right? We are delivering the nitrogen there and some nitrogen there. And then the last one that was remaining is a new reinforced concrete production, because this one, remember, was empty, which is, I think, this one over there. I forgot to put one of those landmark, so let's do it quickly. So a bit the same, but as you can see also we have almost done with all of the concrete. Alright, so this is basically empty again, but we have some reserves there. So all of the iron, transform the iron into steel bars, then the steel bars and the concrete comes over here, transform into reinforced concrete, then we have the reserve there and the train. You may wonder why I put on both sides. If you only have one warehouse, the two drones are not quick enough to fill out the train. So you want actually multiple warehouses, so there's multiple drones to fill the train. And then yeah, that was sent to the city. So basically all of this was what was needed for me to unlock everything, right? To unlock all of those buildings, to get my temperature back into positive. We're actually now at 1 degree, that's pretty good. And so with that, we got the water, right? We have some of this water underground that is over here, but we also have some rivers that have started. We have an ocean over here. We have a couple of others, like over here. I love when it's inside the craters. So all of this, but we don't have water on my city. So that's what's really good, right? There's no water very close to this big city over here. There's a bit of water coming on this side. So for example, this thing over here was a bit in danger, but it's basically finished anyway. And also this one over here is a bit in danger, but I could build on this side. And lastly, for the city I hadn't started at all, New Osaka, it's the same. There's not really a lot of water around it, so that's perfect to basically build a mega factory that is over here. I'm gonna show it to you in a minute, but before, let's talk about the rest, right? We have, in the last episode, unlocked the greenhouses. I also started building now some pumping station. This is reinforced concrete and high-tech parts. We are building a lot of dam elements, even if I'm not using them for now. And we've also started to build some trees. There are actually two types of trees. There's the pine trees and there's the eucalyptus trees. I'm making them over here. Both of these require the same thing, carbon and water. Quite a few, it's 3 carbon, 3 waters, but that's not impossible, right? As you can see, you basically probably want to do something similar to this, or you may want to use the pumping station. Because basically you need water. So the water is either from your ice extractors, like I have done over here, or as I said, it could be from those pumping station, right? But remember, the pumping station needs to be on a green field. So somewhere over here, you know, this one is fine, but there it's not fine. So it's a bit more tricky versus over here, I felt that worked well. And then you need some carbon. So carbon is just the atmospheric extractors. And then with that, we're starting with some trees. There's 2 types of trees, as I said. Let me build both of them. As you'll see, they look slightly different, right? But they also have different characteristics. And that's why I've been making a lot of this one and not so much of this one. Because this one has a minimum temperature of -30. So if your temperature is, you know, -40, they will die. Now, if your temperature is above 0, then they will start growing. And then if the temperature is above 20, so, you know, let's say 30 degrees, then they will start dying again. On this one, slightly different, -20, then 3, and 30. So basically, this is a bit more for higher temperature. Then, as you can see, these ones are not nice anymore, right? They've lost their leaves and stuff, because there's not enough water in the soil. You know, you can see if you look over here, there's no water at all. So these trees will be dying very soon, like this one. Now, if we put them on the green on the other side, it says condition dormant. So that means they're not gonna die, but they're also not going to grow. Why is that? Because remember, the gross temperature is above 0, right? My average temperature is 1.1. That's true. But I'm very close to the pole over here, right? So the temperature is probably slightly below 1 in this region. On the other hand, if I go closer to the equator over here, right, and I go a place where there's also some water, if I plant it, they should be growing. Yes, they are growing. So you'll see if we speed up time a bit, this should start to grow. So that's what I've started to do. In some places, I've started to put a couple of trees. You can see them on the map. Right? And they will hopefully start growing nicely. And I felt I put a big forest somewhere else. Yes, over here. I even put a tree, you know. So So over here, this is growing very nicely. Now, one thing to note is I did completely stop right now all of my production of gases. You know, my gases are not going up anymore, or shouldn't be. Hopefully, I didn't forget anyone, I think, because we've reached that temperature where as long as you're, you know, close to the equator, you should definitely be growing in terms of your trees. So I don't want the temperature to start getting too high and then we have too much water. Okay, so we've reviewed everything we built so far, but now what's more interesting is now that we've unlocked everything and we know where the water is and is not, let's build mega factory. So now let's go into developing this town, New Osaka, which at the beginning of the episode was still at 3 people, now is already at 87 because we've started to deliver, you know, the concrete and the oxygen, which are the first resources. And let's get it to 1 million. So for concrete, it's not too hard. The bottom of here have a lot of sulfur. So getting all of this sulfur into those depots, then we have a train delivering all of the sulfur over here, right, in the middle. And then this is sent into those factories to make a lot of concrete. And then right now I'm sending just a bit of this concrete into the city. Remember, very soon this will not require concrete, this will require reinforced concrete. So that's why I didn't make a big deal out of it. We can change that later on. We're also getting already the oxygen, but the oxygen is not coming from the south. As you can see, it is coming over here from the north. So let's go over here. This is where my oxygen reserves are. So this is the departing train that's going, providing 300, maybe actually let's give a few more, 800 to the city. Perfect. So this oxygen is coming from over here. We have, how many is that? I think it was 12 blocks of 40. 12 blocks of 40, each of them producing 12. So we're talking about like more than 2000. You know, this is huge production just to make sure that we're ready for the future. We're making more than 2000 of oxygen, more than 2000 of carbon. Then, you know, I'm doing a bit the same trick I showed you in the last episode, where we are going to have a train, for example, I don't remember, I think it's this train over here that is going there, right? So we're taking all of the oxygen that was here, we're delivering there. Then we have a train, I think this one, yes, that's taking all of the oxygen that's there. So it means all of the production of these buildings plus the production of this building, then sending it there. And then lastly, you know, we have a train that comes from here and then send it all the way over here, right? So these are sort of delivery of my oxygen, and then this is the departure, as we said, right? And we do the same for the carbon over here, right? We're delivering the carbon. Then actually, instead of moving the carbon with the train, then the carbon is just used directly below to make some polymer. And then this is the polymer that's going to be sent to make some high-tech parts. So that's the first big block, you know, as I said, more than 2000 just to make oxygen and carbon, and then also some polymer over here. And the polymer goes over there, right, to be able to make high-tech parts. There's a lot of those polymer here, right? And on top of this, we're gonna need also aluminium. The aluminium is coming from over here. We have a lot of reserves, right? I had this building a long time ago, now I need to delete it, but I haven't done so already. So yeah, a lot of extractors, a lot of depots, it all goes over here. Then it is delivered into all of these, a few, right? This delivered into all of these over there. Then there's a couple of trains that are picking up all of this aluminium ore to deliver it over here. We're delivering, for example, over here, right? We have one delivery there, and then the same on these sides there, right? So we have 4 delivery of aluminium ore. And then all of these aluminium ore is gonna make aluminium bars, and the aluminium bars are stored over here and then picked up, you know, by a couple of trains. Again, I think 4 different trains to be sent into this reserve there. Delivering on the exterior, right? Delivering there, and there, and then picking up in the interior lane. And then the interior lane will then deliver over here. And then we have a couple of trains, I think again, one over here and one over there. So 2 different trains that are picking up all of these high-tech parts and delivering there. Now you can see this is completely full, so it's not really moving anymore because it's just completely full. That's my reserve of high-tech parts for the future. We also have a reserve of food for the future. It's not full yet, but it's getting there. The food is coming actually from over here. This is my food production. We have 40 of each, so again, that's a lot. I think it's probably 2000 something of food, which will require water and compost. So water I'll show you in a second, but there's also the compost, and the compost is what you may have seen already over here. Well, again, we're doing the same thing. There is two production of compost. The first production of compost is from the organic waste, when we're gonna have some, and some nitrogen, right? We have in the middle, we're bringing this compost, this organic waste and this nitrogen, then it's transformed on the exterior by all those factories into compost, right? And then the compost is sent into my other city. And then on this side, you know, producing a lot of carbon. This carbon is just sent into this reserve over here, with also a bit more of nitrogen to make more compost, right? And then this compost is sent into those depots and go all the way back into this one. Why? Because I want this to be the priority. So the train is leaving from here, is going to take all of this first, but then if this is full, this will start, you know, to spill this way. And it's the opposite for the nitrogen. We're delivering the nitrogen over here because this is the priority to make sure that all of the waste is taken care of. But then if this is full, then the nitrogen is going to start spilling this side. Right? So this is how we're making compost to get into the food. But then we also need water. You can see the water is coming from down, where instead of using the ice extractors over here, we're going to use a lot more the pumping station. I actually made a few more since the beginning of the episode, so let's fill that. Oh, and we have to be careful over here. We're starting to get some water. Speaking of water, so we may want to put a couple of dam elements, even if, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure how to make them work really well. I feel like sometimes just the water, because the water comes from the ground, there are some things you just won't be able to save. But hopefully this will help a bit. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below if you understand the dams a bit better than I do. But anyway, we have, you know, a lot of water production. Remember, this is 30, while for these ones over here, we're just talking about 5 per cycle. So these ones I'm not really using for water, I'm just using for nitrogen. All right, this is classic. I think it's 40 each, where we're doing the same thing. This is delivering there, then this is delivering there, and then this is taking basically there for the production of the whole line, sending it to my depot on the exterior, and then in the interior we are sending, you know, the resources down into basically over here. So that's the nitrogen production, a huge one as you can see, but again, this is enough probably for like 2000 of production for each of these. So this is, you know, this whole pack that you've seen here, the water start there, the food, the compost, high-tech, city reserves. And so now we're gonna have all of this then delivering into the city. But we do need the city to start growing a lot. And then we'll need to make sure that we take care of the different types of recycling too. But that will probably be in the next episode. Now I'm just going to let the game run a bit in between the episodes, right, to have this city grow. And I'd love to hear, you know, any questions, thoughts that you may have, so that in the next episode, probably we can reach 1 million together. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.